What's up, YouTubes and Facebooks that I'm streaming to? I'll get this set up everywhere so you can skip ahead if you're watching the recording. We're just hang tight for a minute while I type this out.
It's me flying down the highway, rolling my way. I just sit in there and think, but why should I stay slow? Will never be still, it seems I'm always on the go. One day at a time, I'm drinking everything in slow-mo. All strange, and I won't change. I just stand there like a statue, but have no end to grow. Will never be still, it seems I'm always on the go.
What's up? Start in a minute.
Everything is slow-mo.
Right.
Dash to the man to the land is where I'll navigate you. It's a city that we make moves, every county, every state.
What's up, IMC Nation _, Instagram. We'll get started here. This is my podcast, and we're talking about the gathering this month. So skip ahead if you're watching the recording while I set up all the tech.
Worldwide, most definitely. To hang around here was expected from me, but I'm going later on, you can check it for me. People take me the wrong way, call it a night from a long day till spawn. Hey, back the bottle that far away, but I hate it when it feels like I'm on.
What's up? What's up? We're starting talking about the IMC Nation Gathering.
Get out of my chest with the FS.
Start in a second as I get final things set up.
Different faces, sky clear, I am gracious, patience, make feel time is wasted. Can't no more that I can always taste it. Switching up what to change the game plan and put it on you like a knife name brand until you give it another the respect change hands and it'll be the same, man.
Right. What's up, David H? Man, where you been? What's up, Faraz? We'll start in just a minute as this song peaks. That's where I'll start. Go on. Cool. Welcome everyone to the show. Click record here. Welcome to Enlightened Masculinity, everybody. I'm Yogi Chris, your host, PhD, founder of 9 Yoga, captain of IMC Nation, streaming to IMC TV, YouTube, Instagrams, and various other places, Facebook and YouTube. Welcome. So we have a gathering coming up, and the gathering is different from boot camps and online trainings or whatever. That's when people gather here in San Jose. We've been doing them every month now this is like month 48 or something in a row. So it's an ongoing thing. A lot of camps and teachers and things, they fizzle. AZD is still on the uprise after, 2 decades of teaching and at least a decade or decade and a half teaching game and relationships. So, the beginning of this, if people are just discovering this show, then it's going to be some logistics. We do have Nick Diaz coming. Nick Diaz and one of his training mates, who's also a UFC, signed. That's legit, it's hella legit. Try fighting one of those guys, just sparring with them. And so he'll be in town and we'll be kicking it and shooting the shit, probably smoking some weed, hanging out and talking for a couple hours. We'll field questions from people that attend in person and online. and AZD will be there. It's a high level of rapport that they have, a lot of respect for each other, and you'll see that. It's AZD is an expert. What's up, DJ Side Effects? AZD is an expert at decoding celebrity game. So Nick Diaz being a star UFC fighter, even if he's retired, like that's, you know, he's done a lot. Anybody that knows anything about that name brings a lot of weight to it. And of course, there's a lot of presence and the beingness and whatever. And when you're at that level of success, when you've been on HBO like that or whatever pay-per-view, when you know, you're performing in front of crowds of 20,000 or more people in big cities, and you're known. And of course, he has his brother, and so as a team, and you know where they come from in Sacramento, whatever. There's a lot of celebrity status. So decoding the celebrity game, like I'm looking at one of these group shots we have here in our living room, is just one Friday or Saturday night that we were out in downtown San Jose, or you know, Santana Row, whatever. It's not downtown, but it's a downtown. It's just not the downtown of San Jose, and it's like an outdoor mall, high end. And one of these ex-49ers who won championship rings, and he played almost a decade for the 49ers. A bunch of shit with a woman actually ended his career, so to speak, or transformed it into whatever it is now. But he was there, and he's in this photo, and a couple other guys that have nothing to do with IMC Nation. There's like 4, 5, 6, 7, I think. 8. Okay, all right. So there's 8 IMC guys, and then there's 4 guys that are not IMC that are just like in the shot. And it's like, wow, they got up on our wall here. But anyway, they're there. One of them is a celebrity, because not only was dude making a lot of money, tall, dark, handsome, athlete, celebrity, you know what I mean? And when the 49ers were doing really well. So one of the things AZD did, and offered it to all of us, because he learned game from Mystery and his proteges of Matador, Discovery. And so he already had that kind of game, and Mystery had decoded celebrity game to some degree. But now AZD, with his understandings, multiple relationships, teaching for many years, you know, you're in it and you're immersed in the words, the language, the things, the tools that help people get it. You know, when you're in a position of authority about that, people are coming to you, paying you for it, and they need to keep paying you for it, because if you're just doing one and done, you're going to have to keep finding new clients every month, and you'll always be on the hunt for new clients. You want retention, the client retention. So you must be doing something right for guys to stick around for a long time. It's not cheap around here, you know. And one of the things he did years ago when he met this guy, Ray McDonald, decoded the game, his celebrity game, because you could call it natural. Guys that make a lot of money, if you're handsome, tall, dark, dangerous, athletic, like, you're going to get chicks. Guys get chicks. I got chicks before I got into game. I just didn't really get them. I didn't get them psychologically, and I didn't really get them in the way that I possess my relationships now. It's like, not even the relationships. I possess the woman, and the woman takes care of the relationship. But these are the teachings of AZD, and it's just aligning you with the nature of it. And then how you go about it, that's the artistry of it. So decoding the celebrity game, the guy who has girls going up to him and fine women, and, you know, so many, everybody's offering him things. And it's like, what kind of behaviors does that person, and we see him when we're out, he has a certain non-reactiveness to situations, the sensations of it, the beauty of it. He's more familiar with it, and maybe less so now, but at the time, I mean, super celebrity. So now we have Nick Diaz coming, and we'll be kicking it with him. Decoding, AZD will be helping decode the mindset, but also of a champion fighter, a deadly man with his compadre, who's also a deadly man. And we'll also see flaws, but that's fine, because we're learning, and AZD will use, man, very exciting. So that opportunity is right there. Alongside, adjacent with coming and hanging out, kicking it with AZD and Nick Diaz, or streaming online if you must, is the party, private party with these models. Now, a lot of guys, they're reactive to beauty. And when you're in a relationship with a girl for a long time, you become less and less reactive to her beauty, and you get more familiar with it. You know what they say, like, familiarity breeds contempt. So guys and girls, they live together, and guy might, you know, they're sharing a bed, and, you know, they see each other in the morning without, she doesn't have makeup, and he's like, you know, dropping a deuce in the bathroom, and they start to really get familiar with each other and lose respect and lose appreciation. And I'm bringing that up because we have this model party where we hire the finest women in the Bay Area that are trying to make it as models, you know, as finest models in the Bay Area. And They're also the most charismatic. We're not just looking for beauty. Yes, we want beauty, but it's a presentation, it's an aesthetic, it's a grace that the woman, it's the professionalism, and it's her attitude, really. It's her attitude, how she talks and how she carries herself, of course, in a sense of fashion, grooming, cleanliness, all sorts of things. You'd be surprised what kind of models make it. And it shouldn't be surprising because models make it because guys pay for it. Not necessarily like OnlyFans or strippers or things like that, but there's a market for it somewhere. And, at the root of things, modeling, it's portraying sexuality, and it's in a way that people look up to so they can enhance their sexuality. The guy with his look and his symmetry and his muscles and how he did his fucking beard and everything, and the girl, the fashion and the curves and how she carries herself and whatever. It's sexuality. And so we bring these girls, they come, they know what they're getting into, and it's a pretty amazing event. We have so many cameras around. So one, you get comfortable with the camera on you, celebrity game. Two, you're in set with the girl and then you rotate. So you're in set with a lot of different girls. So you might go home a little bit shocked because you're not used to interacting with that many fine women one after the other. But it raises a baseline of experience in you, in the nervous system. It's amazing, when they show symmetrical faces, because who's to say what really beauty is? But when they show symmetrical faces, or what would be considered more beautiful faces to infants that have the most minimal conditioning of life, and their gaze lasted longer at the more beautiful pictures of men and women. It seemed like the babies were more captivated by symmetry, which is how they were measuring it in the experiment. So that's something. I mean, the statistics, it's not like one baby one time. It's like a lot of babies, statistical proof that this is irrefutable, that symmetrical faces hold the attention of toddlers and infants. I don't know what the difference, but it was like 8-day-olds or something. I forget. It was in one of these books, like Evolution of Desire, I think. And that's pretty amazing. We react to beauty, a beautiful sunset, beautiful mountain range, beautiful song, a beautiful voice, beautiful face, beauty. And girls are enhancing their beauty all the time. I mean, even just their makeup. I was watching some makeup video the other day because I was like, man, I want to understand more about what my girl goes through to get ready. And I'm watching this thing. It's a lot, man. I want to watch another one. It was so entertaining, actually. At the same time, real annoying because the girl is stupid. But just the techniques of when she's not talking and she's just showing the technique, then it's fascinating. Beauty enhances the beauty, enhances the man's attention on the object, and we react to it. So you might not react to the 6s or the 7s, but you might react to the 8 or the 9 or the 10 or the set of 10s where it's like 2 or 3 of them. You'll react just like you'll react, maybe not public speaking to one person or 10 people or even 100 people, but put yourself in front of a stadium or on national TV with 1 million, or you're looking at the live and it's like 1 million viewers, and then don't feel that. There's something in the nervous, now it's mental because you're perceiving it. I could imagine 1 million right there and start reacting to it. And then there's the fact, if there was 1 million on, and then you start reacting to it. Just like you can imagine her, the most beautiful goddess in the world, and then there's the fact when it's right in front of you, staring at you in the face. So these parties, girl after girl, get more familiar with the beauty. Get familiar with the camera in your face. Get familiar talking to the women around your brothers. A lot of times we'll go out and there won't be a lot of women for each person to be in set with. The way we're going out is, again, celebrity game. It's a beingness and a presence in the venue, AZD setting the example. And then the guys that have lived with him or been around him the longest have some element of that. And it's measurable. So guys will be in relationships, longer relationships, and they're more comfortable and they're not reacting. But then with new women, they're reacting. And, you know, it's amazing what attracts and seduces one woman doesn't for another. In some cases, like your personality, you got that one girl because of the context that you met her in, or, you know, she was looking past your fakeness and your inauthenticity in the beginning because she already had decided. She'd already chosen you. But use that same gambit on another woman and she hasn't chosen you? How do you win over the affections without chasing, without seeking for her to like you, but understanding that you're testing what you're saying and doing based and using her reactions? That's why we do a vetting for the models, because there's some psychos out there, girls that don't react right. And I'm not looking for, I'm the casting director, so I do a lot of the auditions, but I'm not looking for, I guess I am looking for a certain set of reactions, like positive reactions, like, can't be all edgy and touchy about life. I mean, some girls just show up edgy about life. And then you start talking on a certain subject like alpha or relationships or anything like that, and she'll get real tight. And it's not because she's married or in relationships, because lots of girls pass and they're married and they're in relationships. I'm not talking about the quality of those relationships, like he's beta and most of them admit it. But, they don't make it an issue. I don't make it an issue. But girls will make it an issue. They're not even in relationships. They just hate men. And whatever, I can get it. That's why you're making a living modeling. I don't know what man is letting you do that. Unless you have like a male manager, I could see a girl that's so beautiful and like her brother, or, somehow maybe the man is involved in modeling and he just manages his girlfriends or something. Like I could see that. Or even have some other girl be your modeling manager. Have some degree of separation. But that takes a lot. You got to be a professional. Why is she going to do it? You got to pay her, and then you got to be making money as a model. You know what I mean? So that's why you want to be discovered. But then we have social media, and every bitch is a model. She's some kind of model. She's modeled for something. Not enough to just be beautiful, because she's not seeking the approval of a man. She's seeking the approval of the world. That's why she wants to be a model. That's what social media made every woman into a whore / model. Models are whores, but I really offended a model that I was with once, and I said that, and I said it in a way that I could see why she would be offended. But it's the truth packaged in not such pretty wrapping paper. It's fine. It's what it is. No matter what you're doing as a woman, you're selling your sexuality. Whether it's to your man and you're at home and raising babies, you're still selling yourself to him. If he's a real man and he's not chained to you, then he would leave you if you misbehaved. So you got to keep selling your man on your womanhood. And if you're not doing that, then to some degree in the workplace, you are selling your sexuality, your femininity, your hospitality, the things that men like from women. Whatever occupation you're doing, doesn't matter. You could be a manager at an engineering company, like the most dorkiest, or a politician or something. You're getting more your way because of your feminine charms as a woman. And you could be like, well, that's not my fault. Like, it's just the way it is. Yeah, but you're using that to get ahead. You're not denying that. Otherwise, cut your hair, never wear makeup, flat chest, and just dress like a man. Don't be a man. I'm not saying be gender fluid. Just dress like a man. Be a man. And then you'll say it's impossible because your voice, everything, it'll just come across. Your femininity would get you ahead. And so the man that can master femininity, that's not, yeah, what's up, Solo? That's right. The man that's master feminine, he's not reacting to just new women in his environment. Or I'm not saying just like being unfriendly or not interacting. It's just there's a reactiveness that you lose that, like I was saying, the men in relationships, you get so familiar and comfortable, you lose this kind of reactiveness. You still have it. But as you get so familiar, then you just don't have it. So you can have that desensitization. And that's what we're building our life. You build your life, and women are attracted to it because you have some real value here, connected with guys or whatever you're doing with. Like I'm thinking about the sensei at the jiu-jitsu place I just go to on Wednesdays. And, he's liberal. He's in the feminist agenda, whatever. He's a normie, like all the other normies, but he's great at jiu-jitsu and I like him. He's older than me. And, and I was just thinking about it because one time we were talking about him and his wife and, value and you're raising your value through life and whatever. It was not just about him. It was a bigger conversation that we just kind of skirted past that. And I was just thinking in meditation, I'm like, dude, that guy, he just keeps raising his value, keeps getting better at martial arts, teaching martial arts, more successful business, training more lethal fighters, more connected as men that get older and they're more connected and more successful. And it's just his value just keeps raising as he's led an army over the years. He's created an army of, jiu-jitsu guys that know how to fight, that are loyal to him. And, he's only going up. What's the woman's value doing? What's her value doing? She's raising your kids. Okay. Outside of that, is there anything? She's making more money. Is she working hard, trying to make it, to the top? Like, is that valuable to you? I don't think it is. I think amongst guys, it isn't, like I said something about, it was whatever it was. I said something about a mistake that had been done by one of my girls. And he said, man, she didn't know how to do that. It was so stupid. I set myself up for that, but it was so stupid because I don't even care about it. But, you learn to do better. So I say to him, I hire for attitude, not for skill. Because the girl's got the right attitude, she'll learn. She'll change, she'll learn. Doesn't matter. It's the attitude towards me that's most important. Have a girl that can do everything, cook and clean and look beautiful and everything, gives you a bad attitude, you don't even want her. Or guys will put up with her, but you really don't want her. And at some point you won't put up with her if you go long enough. So, why was I bringing that up? So the men's value raises, and that's what we do as we're all connected in IMC, or guys on the fringes, guys that are just watching the Instagrams or the YouTubes and TikToks. We're not live there, but, guys are watching TikToks and, they're on the fringes, like they're benefiting. I don't know how long it'll take them. It's astounding to me sometimes, the different paths that people take. Me being at the center, I'm captain of IMC and I run a lot of the business. And so I know a lot of storylines, hundreds of storylines of different guys. I'm not saying I know their whole life story. Whatever reconnaissance I've gained, by talking with them, messaging with them, or observing, their comments, their posts, whatever. It's a whole mass psychology. I have a PhD in this whole other field. Imagine like how much schooling you needed to finish high school, and then to get a bachelor's degree, and then a master's degree, and then a PhD. It's a different degree. What's funny is when people say PhD degree. Hey, Fernando, you ever say PhD degree? Good. It's redundant. You would say that? Oh, did you already know that? Right. Logical to make sense. Right on. You sure I never told you that? I never said that to you, not to do that? All right. Good. All right. Well, a lot of people, I hear them say PhD degree. The D in PhD is degree. So you're saying philosophy degree when you say PhD degree. So imagine all that schooling. Now, that's taken really, to me, no less effort to gradually replace that storage in my mind and fill it with this other activity, which is the rosters of IMC and all of the accounts and managing data and whatever. It's just what I do. It just replaced that engineering stuff with, and so it's a big effort. There's a lot of communication lines and learning a lot of stories. And why was I saying all that? People's story, getting to know people's story. Oh, it's astounding what paths people take. Some people, they jump right in. Some people, they take a little bit. Some people, they're always on the fringes. I've been seeing them around for like 4 years or longer, just like hovering. I don't know what they're doing. What are you researching? What are you looking at? One of the guys was messaging me today, and I understand, and all kudos to him, because he's a man in IMC. He's on Alpha Academy, never done a camp, but he's been on Alpha Academy for like 2 years. And he has 9 kids. I was like, damn, dude. Well, if there's going to be a man with 9 kids, it should be an IMC guy. Now, he had his kids before he got into IMC, but you got a lot of responsibility, a lot of time demands. I get it. And, he shared with me these 2 other guys he was watching, studying, whatever. One of them I had heard before, and the other one I was looking at. They were very similar. Older white guys with a little bit of tattoos, talking that tough talk, that alpha married talk, that married alpha talk, date your wife kind of talk. You got to keep dating your wife kind of talk. And if you know that tagline, you could find one of those guys. But he says in his message, he's like, but I'm leaning more towards AZD something. And he wanted to talk. So I sent him my number. We haven't talked yet, but I could see why you would lean towards AZD. Those other guys are beta to their wives. They talk tough. They talk big. They make a lot of money, but you can hear the guys that are more into multiple relationships and been studying AZD for a long time. The only way to do the multiple relationships stably is to be alpha. You could get with multiple women and everybody knows about each other and whatever. You can even get them to be exclusive to you. If you're exclusive, you'll have some criteria on you. If you're, there is criteria, like I am away with my women, but it's like, it's not like I have to agree to be something that I'm not. It's the agreement that I am this way. Even if my way is I change a lot. So my women have learned, or at least my main girl who's been around the longest has learned, she should have learned, I think she's learned, I change a lot. Don't try to figure me out. I'll change right when you think you got your thumb on me. Stop. Enjoy the ride. The seduction of your life is not being able to figure me out. Quit trying. Just enjoy the ride. There's nowhere to go or get to, except I am giving you leadership and direction that will lead to a more fruitful future than, I don't know where else you would get a more fruitful future, maybe in your control. Maybe if like aliens came down and took you to Venus, but that's not in your control. Maybe you could try, as you women try, but they probably try to do that. They do seances and like trance out and call for the ET to come get them. Maybe it worked for one of them. Who knows? They know. So anyway, we got Nick Diaz coming, celebrity game, decoding it. We got the model party, desensitize yourself to beauty, cameras, and gaming around your brothers, which is essential for the highest level game, because that's what it is. You know, I'm continually astounded by AZD's comfort and expressiveness in audience, you know, in public, when we're out with people, strangers might be around, or, you know, just I learned to expand my range and not give such a fuck about other people's opinions, but at the same time, give a appropriate fuck about other people's opinions. There is a level, there is a fine line between like disrespectful and not giving a fuck. How can you be respectful while not giving a fuck? It's a lot of inner mastery. You got to have inner mastery because you have to separate yourself from your mind, from your actions. You are doing something because it is a higher conduct in life. It is the right way, not the right way because the Bible said it or mom and dad said it or whoever said it. It's the right way because you have observed. And that's where we're studying and learning and decoding the celebrity game, because you learn through trial and error. And as you ascend, like I said, men raise their value. As you raise your value, you learn new lessons, new things, new opportunities, new situations are open to you as you raise your value, as you're more sought after, as you have more status, as you know, more money, even everything. As you build your life, new situations present themselves to you. And so you're faced with new decisions to make, and you find yourself, you find your character. If you're reflective, a lot of people aren't reflective. They're just going by trial and error. But even if you just go by trial and error and you just ride the wave as you live and not even have any separation or any awareness of you are a spirit living a life, if you're just living life and you stay at it, you don't have toxic, self-destructive habits, you'll get better. You just get better. And men, you age, you bald, you know, wrinkles, whatever, but it's different. And so you'll get girls, you'll do better. But there'll be, you know, the same decisions that worked for the 20-year-old is not going to be the same decisions that are for the 37-year-old. And, you know, as you learn better ways and you see the cause and effect of life and the effects that you create with your decisions, can you define not giving a fuck? There's going to be, I see at least two levels to it. The first way, it's a great question because I like questions because, you know, I don't know that I would ever ask that. And so I don't know if I'd ever answer it. So now giving the answer, it's like, oh, it's a new piece of information I have. And it'll probably evolve. So it's like, it's never been spelled out for me. So this is just, you know, on the spot opinion. Not giving a fuck is one dimension, not taking anything personally. And, you know, but that can also be, if you never take anything personally, it can be interpreted from the outside as being weak sometimes. So you got to stay expressive while you're not taking it personally. So, you know, that's going to bring in the second dimension of things, which is I'm going to say what I want to say without giving a fuck whether you like it or not. Now, there's more to that because you got to be respectful. Like, how do you say what you want to say to the police officer? You know, there's 1,000 ways to say everything, but a lot of them might be disrespectful and will get you in trouble. So understanding situations, context, but I'm going to express my truth regardless of whether you like it or not, given that I'm not going to lower my survival. Like if I'm talking to an unstable person, I may not, you know what I'm saying? Like you don't compromise your own survival, but to the degree that I'm not compromising and that's where people mistake because reputation represents survival to people. So when they say things that drop their reputation, they feel embarrassed and it feels like a drop in survival. It doesn't feel good. Or they act in a way that, drops their rep. It doesn't feel good because it represents survival to them because they're relying on the group. That's more feminine. Guys don't rely on the outside group. They have an inner group. And to mature, you got to distinguish who is my people, who is not. Yes, that doesn't mean they're my enemies, but they're not my people. I got to not react or take personal their opinion about me, what I say and do, but still navigate it or walk away. And so there'll be levels of mastery of that, which could be observed if we were observing you, that you could walk away or you could pretend like it didn't affect you, but you're really affected. If you only and most of the time you're affected, you pretend like you're not affected. You'll know when it's not affected, when you're not affected. You're not affected, So again, that becomes like a spiritual practice moving forward, how to not be affected by life, but still engage with life with morals and ethics. Like it's not you're spineless or you're rude to everybody because you don't give a fuck. That's the bottom of the dish. That mimics being a badass. It's not really badass. It's weak. If you can't discern who to be good to, who's your people, who to trust, who to lend a hand to, and who not to, and you just write them all off as, not worthy, I don't know if that's the highest survival. So it seems like a defeated person, actually. But on the surface might seem like the same not give a fuck attitude, but it's not. And you need the wisdom to see the difference. Hey, Gio. So not giving a fuck is pretty much outcome independence, doing whatever the hell you want within reason, of course. Sort of. Yeah, sort of. At the end of the day, you'll see if you're affected. And a lot of guys, they're just so numb to whether or not they're affected or not. And when I say a lot of guys, I mean a majority. I think most guys are numb, really, because I'm continually, even now, after 8 years of studying with AZD and working on myself, even before that, I'm just a beacon of self-work, just working on myself. I'm still gaining more awareness and sensitivity, not like fragileness, but like an awareness, a sensitive awareness to, when communication, when I'm talking with someone, texting, on the phone, in person, whatever, with a woman, man, whatever, anybody. If afterwards I felt like, I didn't handle something, I'm thinking about what they said, I'm thinking about what I could have said, different situations, like I am, and then there's an emotion wrapped up with that. So maybe there's no emotion, and then I'm really just chewing on it and I'm kind of detached. Okay. To some extent, maybe, if you're finding a better solution, a better way of doing something, use your mind. But if you're getting taken along for the ride, your mind is just cycling the thought and you're not in control of that, then that's not good. But if while chewing on the thought, you're feeling all tense about it, stressed about it, nervous, and that's where people are numb. Guys, girls especially, but guys are numb too. They're numb when they're thinking these thoughts. Are you feeling positive about what you're thinking about? Guys, if you can imagine, like, guys' emotions, they're like an iceberg. Most of it's below water. Most of it's negative. Most guys have not worked on themselves enough where they're in a positive emotional being inside most of the time. They're actually negative most of the time. And when you start calling their attention to it, they will actually come up in emotional tone. They'll get higher. And the reason for that is because they're negative, because they're chewing on a bunch of negative thoughts, not realizing that they are feeling negative about their own thoughts. And that includes your perception of some interaction that just happened. So if you're that's called being affected. So there's a lot of nuts and bolts to it. And what you said was kind of on the right path. And you already know. That's the thing, though. You already know the answer. I didn't say anything you didn't know. Like, you could have written that before I even gave the answer. So I just gave a bunch of little details and nuances around what does it mean to not give a fuck. And this IMC Nation and AZD, this is the not give a fuck, especially when it comes to relationships. Those guys that my friend on Alpha Academy was telling me about that he studies, the dad, coaches, alpha dad coaches or whatever. Give a fuck. They give a lot of fucks. They're still held. They're contained in their expression. And I've seen such abundance in relationships and clients and students and whatever around AZD, working with them and whatever. There's a genuine care, and then there's this not give a fuck. And I've adopted that. And it's what works. It's what creates a loyal audience. I mean, the guys that are showing up to class every day are changing fast, and they're dedicated. And I've been showing up every day for years, and it keeps evolving. It's not static. And that's so fascinating. I wonder how long it'll go for, because the imagination of, your imagination can access infinite solutions and possibilities. And if you're on target with your purpose, your imagination will be working on your purpose too. So like when I was in my PhD and I was reading all these papers, it was about a certain subject in environmental science, and I was immersed in it. And I couldn't help it when I would walk my dog, I'd be chewing on those thoughts, and I'd be coming up with, I'd have to take notes. At the time, I would actually carry a notepad and write in it, because you couldn't help it. My conscious mind was so filled with these ideas on this environmental science subject, something, about energy and science and nature. And I'm coming up with all these connections while I'm walking. And so that's just what happens when you filled your mind. Like if I was studying yoga all the time, man, you start seeing people's bones and muscles as they walk, and like their alignment. You see your alignment in the mirror differently. And it's like you just start seeing what you're studying more deeply. And man, if you start teaching yoga and studying yoga, teaching science and studying science, teaching IMC and studying IMC, you get deeper and deeper perception of it. So if AZD's been teaching it for a long time, he's getting deeper into this thing, and he stayed on course, he's got a target, then the language develops, the understandings develop, they expand, more and more subtle nuances. And it was long ago that he talked about hacking the genetic code. And I've seen it so many times. And this is, like has been said, an alternative way of relating with women. How are you regarding women in your life? Mom, daughter, sister, women, old women, young women, wives. There's a code that they're operating on that doesn't mean you treat everyone the same. In fact, you treat everyone different. It's unique. But they have a code that's unique to the gender that all women have, that everything on the surface, they're taking action with this undercurrent, this genetic undercurrent of perception, of agenda, of what they're seeking. Like you're seeking food and sleep and shelter and clothing and sex. With who? With alpha and provider male. And it's just what she's doing. And so when you know what she's doing, you know which way the wind is blowing, you know how to set the sails. We have that too. That's where you really start to believe in the female's genetic codes, because men have genetic codes too. And you start with learning your genetic code. You do both, actually. You learn yours as you learn hers, because they're opposite agendas. It's the same DNA. We're compatible. We mate, DNA combined, blah, blah, blah. But the man and the woman throughout history act different to find the optimal combination for their genes. And so studying the female action, studying the male action, and then in modern times, because there's a whole cultural veil over top of that, etiquette, manners, and then, the rat race and what we're doing, so many distractions and sensations and everything. It's a whole art. You got to be patting your head while you're rubbing your belly to be seducing while you're living. Because if you just seduce, you'll fuck up your life. And if you don't seduce, you'll fuck up your life. There's an optimal medium. And then you need spirituality, because you're going to feel split. You're going to live a double life if you're just trying to optimize, seduction in life. You have to integrate. It takes a supreme level of calibration. So everything we're doing with the projects, with Nick Diaz coming for the SHADOWLANDS gathering, which is at imcbase1.com/advanced, or just go to imcbase1.com and see, all kinds of links. All the information's there. You see bios, you see what we're up to. It's a good website. Shout out Zay. Zay built the website. IMC Zay. Simba, because we work internally. One day IMC may have its own completely internal economy. It's already happening. So I think that's about it. The gathering is October 20th to 21st, 22nd. Party is October 20th, the Friday. Change dates to Friday. Then Saturday will be Nick Diaz in town. That'll be dope with his friend. I forget the friend's name. So sorry. He's a badass too. I just wish I knew his name. And that'll be great. Strip clubs. Again, it's just all desensitizing to the beauty, applying this philosophy in that situation, in the relationship, in the pickup, in life with the clients and everything. And as you desensitize and get more comfortable, it's just like fighting. You're getting punched in the face. You get more familiar with the glove coming at you and you see it. You stop squinting and flinching and jerking away. You see it and you move fluidly. And that's where your technique comes in. So that's where game comes in. But first, you got to get comfortable, relax. And so we throw you in those situations. That's the gathering. It's very cheap, very affordably priced. It's not cheap. That's the wrong word. $447 to come in person. That's 4 hours of instruction on Friday, 4 hours on Saturday, plus infield for 2 hours with AZD. And that's at the strip club. So that'll be great. You get guaranteed interactions with women and desensitize yourself to that shit and observe a top player and his crew and how we do it. And then Sunday night, a little bit more. So it'll be about 12 hours with AZD and the tribe. That's in person for $447. Plus you get the recordings. And then we have the Nick Diaz meetup. That's a little bit extra to kick it with Nick Diaz and, Q&A and, just chill, take photos. Everything's fair game. You know what I mean? So you get it for your social media. Hey, AZD joined my stream for just a second. Just shouting out the Nick Diaz event. Then we have our private party. That's the day before Nick Diaz. And that's quite an opportunity to get a lot of game in. Guided, with a lot of sets, cameras on you. You'll go home wherever you're from and you'll easily get a lot of girls that are right around you. Don't try to get girls in San Jose. You're not going to get these models. You might, one, maybe, but it's low chance because they're working and, they're desensitized to our game also. So we're really ruining these girls for any other men. That's the shame of it. It's the fun comedic tragedy of it. We are ruining all the women we interact with because we're raising their standards for honesty. It doesn't mean that they'll be attracted to us or go with us because they're so sensitive about their feminism and whatever bullshit they got going on. But other men will see more and more fake the more they interact with us. So it's hard for a guy to come from out of town and get the model. But practice, and you will. If you're at the party, you'll get 8 sets at least of like 5 to 10 minutes. You'll get so comfortable. You'll go home on the airplane or the drive home, wherever you stop. Like you'll be so much more free interacting with women and in an appropriate way. I've done pickup camps where you learn all these direct lines and whatever. That's not free. That's sleazy. It's uncomfortable. It's violating. And it doesn't work at the highest levels, meaning with the most beautiful women. But this game of being comfortable, having a conversation, understanding body language of attraction, of interest, of disinterest, and then all the mindset that gets taught will really and authentically change your game on your way home. Once you get home, you'll see there's lots of women around you that are giving you interest, but you're too chicken shit. You don't know how to do it. So you learn how to lead, how to be comfortable, lead the conversation, and all this mentality and mindset about relationships, and they fall into place. When you're certain, they fall into place. Man, I'm losing connection. So that's the end of this IMC TV stream. Thank you, everybody, for attending. I hope to see you on the Shadowlands Gathering. Go to imcbase1.com/advanced. Check it out right now, and I'll see you on the next stream. Os. Charlie Pinello was on.